What's up, leaders? We have some awesome skinny here that hopefully will encourage you along your emotional growth journey. This is another episode in my emotional growth journey that, God willing, will add value to you. And to kind of see what the journey's been like, feel free to go back through and check out my previous videos on my emotional growth journey so far. So I'm on my way back from an awesome homeschool conference with Classical Conversations and doing some reflecting. I'm going to tell you a story, neat little story. So my awesome wife was in retail. She was a retail manager of a retail store, and she grew up as a missionary kid. The dynamic that she would describe while working at this retail store as a manager was, she folded clothes all day and helped people check out at the register deal. And one of the things that she would share is, and it was in this little corner lot of this kind of strip mall and stuff. There was a grocery store, a Mexican restaurant, all these different restaurants and stuff, and then his kind of upper scale women's clothing store. And she was by a busy intersection. And where she would always stand at the cash register, she could see out that a big giant window. She could see out this big giant window. And every day, she was there, 8-10 hours a day, as a manager, and she would say, "Man, Noble, this is back early days, early in our marriage." She would say, "Noble, man, how much life, just peering out this window, how much life am I missing by standing here, helping people check out of the register and folding clothes all day? Like, what am I missing in my, what it's like in the business term, there's a business term for it called opportunity cost. What is the opportunity cost of me being here folding clothes for 8 to 10 hours a day? What aspects of life am I missing?" So boom. And God gave me a huge connection based on my emotional growth journey that I've been on very intentionally recently. And what I'm learning is there's so many layers to this emotional growth journey. The visual that I got is this, because I did, I had a portion of this homeschool conference where I was sharing from some things from my experience and perspectives and stuff, and I've got some feedback that my communication is improving. I'm getting better at communicating, more effective at communicating, which as a communicator, as a leader, as an influencer, I was very thankful to hear, because that's something I always want to work on. I always want to grow my communication, my leading, my leadership, my influence. So that was a blessing for me to hear that. And then I started thinking, why was I receiving that feedback? Why, what were they seeing? What's the deal? And the thing that I came to was, because of, and I do a lot of, leading and influencing and communicating. So that's one thing. I'm getting a lot of reps, a lot of repetition. But as you all have heard too, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So that's one thing. So that's okay. I'm getting a lot of practice. The other thing, though, is that God gave me a revelation over, and this is huge. What I'm sharing with you guys is, I'm getting more emotionally healthy, and I'm starting to, and I can't even believe I'm going to say this, because I haven't been able to say this. I don't know that I've ever been able to say this. I'm starting to realize and appreciate the value that I have, that I bring to the table, that God has given me. And again, me just saying that is a very, very, very big deal. I would always feel very, very, very guilty for even saying something like that, because I would never say something like that. But I'm starting to value and appreciate the gifts that God has given me, and how God made me and who God made me. And I have never been able to do that before because of my EQ. And a side note, our pastor, Pastor Fletcher, man of church, had just finished a series called Adulting. And one of his things he said about self-awareness is this, which is, emotional intelligence, an aspect of emotional intelligence. Your EQ, your emotional intelligence, directly impacts your SQ, your spiritual intelligence. I was like, what? Your EQ, your emotional intelligence, impacts your spiritual intelligence. Your emotional grid, your emotional viewpoint, which I'm going to make a huge connection in just a second, impacts how you view your relationship with God, your relationship with others, your faith, your spiritual growth. And I'm like, again, I was like, what? Head about exploded when I heard that. That was great. So back to my as a result of my emotional health and my emotional growth and this whole emotional journey that I'm on, here's what I've realized has happened my entire life. And thank God for the prison break that is happening now in my life. What I have been doing, I have been looking through my emotional prison bars. The prison bars of a low self-image, my prison bars of low self-esteem, prison bars of low emotional intelligence, looking through these bars at everyone else living their lives and me comparing my life to theirs. Like, man, everyone else has their lives together and these people are like, I feel like I can add maybe even some more value than maybe some of these people, but they're living 10 times, 30 times, 100 times at a higher level that I'm living at. Like, what's the deal, right? I'm peering through these prison bars, and I'm making excuses and blaming and all this maybe victim mentality and stuff, rather than looking at me and owning where I'm at, owning all this stuff. And so now, thank God, for the first time I feel in my life, I am starting to make a prison break from the emotional prison that has held me captive, that I have allowed to hold me captive for my whole life. And it feels amazing. And here's the last thing I'll say. And I'd love to hear your takeaways too. If you could share, maybe if you're getting anything out of this, put a thought that's resonating with you, that if there's something that I've shared. God told me not too long ago, maybe 6 to 12 months ago, because he's been working on me with this stuff. There's a passage, Matthew 25:14-30, that says, this big boss man, I think it was an entrepreneur, even rolls out a town, and he had 3 employees. He gave one employee 5 talents, another employee 2 talents, another employee 1 talent. The 1 talent guy, and there's a lot to it, but I'll just shorten this up. The 1 talent guy buried his talent in the backyard. Literally took the gift that the boss man gave him, the talent that the boss man gave him, and buried it in the backyard. Well, that is what I have been doing for much of my life. But the 5 talent guy and the 2 talent guy, they doubled the boss's investment into them. They doubled their return. What kind of return are you giving back to God with your life? So this is what God told me. Noble, the gifts I gave you are not for you. The gifts I gave you are for other people. Number 1. Number 2 is, based on number 1, you have to use and give your gifts to other people, which are his kids. Number 3, your gifts that I gave you for other people only get better with use and practice. the more you use your gifts, the better and stronger and more honed and sharpened will your ability be to utilize and apply and implement your gifts. And I have had to come out of this emotional prison to begin to experience the joy and the blessing of adding value to other people, which is a passion of mine. Because I have held myself captive in this emotional prison, I have limited myself and my ability to impact other people because this emotional prison I've been in. How are you limiting your own life by being in the emotional prison that you are held captive by? Realize you can change that by taking ownership of your emotional growth. And again, check out some of the previous videos. I'd love any comments, takeaways that you're getting from this. And if you have any friends that you feel would add value, please tag them in here or share this with other people. But it is literally impacting every area of our life, of my life, and therefore my family's life, that I am now coming out of this emotional prison. It's impacting my relationship with the Lord, impacting my relationship with my awesome wife, with our kid or world changer kid, my homies, the people that I lead, influence, and mentor. And so I'm so thankful to be on this journey now, finally. So anyway, hopefully this helps out. We want to reach the world, restore brokenness, empower leaders and influencers, affirm, give strengths and superpowers, cultivate roots, harvest long-lasting legacy fruits by changing you to change your world so that together we can change the world. God bless you.